She was stranded on a cold, rainy night, her car refusing to start in the middle of nowhere. A kind old man appeared out of the shadows and offered her shelter. She followed him, thankful, until she stepped inside his hut and saw something that made her knees go weak. It wasn't just a home. It was a shrine, filled with pictures, candles, and her face. Emily had always hated driving alone at night. The road stretched endlessly ahead, swallowed by shadows and wrapped in thick fog. Tall trees leaned in from both sides, their branches swaying like silent watchers. She had just left her friend's wedding 2 towns over, a beautiful evening, full of laughter and dancing, but now, hours later, she felt uneasy. Her little red car hummed steadily until it suddenly began to shake. A low sputter. Then a cough. Then silence. The engine died right in the middle of nowhere. Emily gripped the steering wheel. No, no, please not now. She tried turning the key. Nothing. The dashboard flickered weakly. Her phone had no signal. No passing headlights. No houses nearby. Just woods. And cold. Panic began to stir in her chest. She stepped out, wrapping her coat tightly around her. Her breath rose in pale clouds. Somewhere in the distance, a branch snapped. She turned sharply. That's when she saw him. An old man, slowly walking toward her from the mist, carrying a lantern that swayed with each step. His coat was worn, his hat pulled low. He raised a hand gently. Car trouble? He asked, voice calm like someone used to quiet places. Not safe out here at night, especially for a young lady. I live nearby. You can come wait in my hut till morning. Fire's warm. Phone's dead, but we'll get help at first light. Emily hesitated. Every story she'd ever heard warned her not to trust strangers. But the wind was growing colder, and the dark felt deeper by the second. She looked at the man. His eyes weren't threatening, just tired. Kind. With one last glance at her useless phone, she nodded and followed him into the fog. Emily followed the old man along a narrow dirt path, barely visible under the moonlight filtering through the trees. The fog clung to the ground, swirling around their feet like something alive. She kept a few steps behind him, alert, every sense sharpened. Each crunch of leaves underfoot echoed louder than it should. Not far now, the man said softly, glancing back with a small smile. His voice didn't carry menace. It was more like a faded photograph, worn, quiet, familiar somehow. They walked in silence for a while until he asked, Where were you headed? She told him about the wedding, the long drive home, her studies in photography. He seemed genuinely interested, nodding slowly as she spoke. You remind me of someone, he said at one point, almost under his breath. She let it pass, not wanting to ask. The forest seemed to thicken before it opened into a small clearing. There it was, a tiny wooden hut nestled beneath towering pines, almost hidden from view. It looked like something from another time. Weathered walls, a slanted tin roof, and a faint glow of firelight coming through the window. He opened the door and motioned her in. Go ahead, I'll bring the lantern in. Emily stepped inside. The warmth hit her instantly. A fireplace crackled in the corner, casting soft, golden light across the room. It was simple. Old wooden furniture, a table, 2 chairs, a kettle warming by the fire. But something felt off. Her eyes moved slowly across the room, until they landed on the wall. She blinked. Then froze. There, behind the couch, was a row of photographs. Black and white. Some faded. And in one of them, she could swear she saw her own face. Emily took a slow step toward the wall, her breath caught in her throat. The room, once cozy and warm, now felt colder, heavier, like the air itself had changed. The photographs weren't just random pictures. They were carefully arranged, dozens of them, maybe more. Some were in frames, others tacked gently to the wall. Candles burned below a few, their flames flickering shadows across the faces in the images. And there, clear as daylight, was her. In one photo, she was walking out of her college dorm. Another, sitting at a park bench, laughing with a friend. A third, taken from behind, her reflection caught in a shop window. Pictures she never knew had been taken. Some looked like they were from years ago. Different hairstyles, clothes, places, but all unmistakably her. Emily's body froze, but her mind raced. Why were these here? How did he get them? She turned around, and the man was standing silently in the doorway, his lantern now resting on the floor. He wasn't smiling anymore. His expression was unreadable, somewhere between sorrow and longing. You look just like her, he whispered, stepping forward. The same eyes. Same way you smile without noticing. Emily's voice shook. Who are you? Why do you have these pictures of me? He didn't answer right away. He walked slowly to the wall and gently touched one of the photos, as if it were something sacred. You're not her. I know that. But for a moment, I let myself believe. Emily didn't know whether to run or cry. Her fear was still there, sharp and loud, but behind it, something else was growing. A feeling that this wasn't about obsession. It was about something far more painful. Something broken. Emily stood frozen, her heart pounding so loudly it almost drowned out the sound of the crackling fire. The room was quiet, but heavy, like it was holding its breath. The old man lowered himself into a chair, hands trembling slightly as he picked up a small photo album from the table. Her name was Eliza, he said quietly. My daughter. She disappeared when she was 10 years old. He opened the album. Emily stepped closer, slowly, cautiously. Inside were pictures of a little girl. Bright eyes, wild hair, the same gentle smile Emily saw in her own childhood photos. It was a summer afternoon, he continued, voice cracking. We were at the park. I turned around for one moment, and she was gone. No one ever found her. Not a trace. He flipped through the album with care, like every page carried a memory he had memorized 1,000 times. I waited for years, he said. Kept thinking she'd come home. Then I started seeing girls who looked like her. In crowds, in photographs. For a while I told myself it was nothing. Just imagination. But then, I saw you. Emily's fear began to soften, replaced by something deeper. This wasn't a man obsessed. This was a father who never got to say goodbye. Who never found closure. She looked at the wall again. The photos weren't trophies. They were hope. Desperate, aching hope. I'm sorry, he whispered, not looking at her. I didn't mean to frighten you. I just wanted to believe. For a moment, Emily sat down across from him, her voice low. I'm not her. But I'm really sorry for what happened. And in that small hut, between two strangers, grief met understanding, and something in both of them began to heal. The rain had softened to a whisper by dawn. A pale light crept through the small window of the hut, gently waking Emily from a restless sleep on the old couch. She blinked at the unfamiliar ceiling, the events of the night returning slowly, the broken car, the photographs, the grief behind a stranger's eyes. The old man was already up, quietly boiling water over the fire. He looked over and smiled, tired but kind. Didn't mean to scare you, he said again. Thank you for not running. Emily sat up, still wrapped in the old blanket he had given her. There was no fear in her now. Only something she couldn't quite name, a kind of quiet respect. He handed her a mug of tea, warm and earthy. They sat in silence, sipping, the fire cracking gently between them. After a while, he stood and walked to a drawer, pulling out a small, slightly faded photograph. This is the last picture I have of Eliza, he said, handing it to her. She was wearing her favorite yellow dress. Said she felt like sunshine in it. Emily took the photo carefully. The little girl's smile was bright and full of life. She held it like something fragile. When the rain stopped completely, he walked her back to her car. The engine started this time. Before she drove off, he leaned into the window and said, Thank you for listening, for seeing me. Emily smiled, her eyes soft. She was lucky to have you. As she drove away, the hut disappeared behind the trees, but the feeling stayed with her, that sometimes, the people we fear are just people in pain. And sometimes, helping someone heal doesn't take years. Just one night. One conversation. One human moment. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Human Fables for more real-life stories that speak to the soul.